Lost has been called one of the most confusing shows of all time. Specifically, the series finale is known as one of the most baffling and controversial episodes of TV ever. Some fans really loved it, a lot of fans really hated it. Some actors who were on the show have confessed that even they didn't really understand what was going on in that final episode. So was the finale good? Or was it bad? Or was it just confusing and hard to understand? Who better to answer those questions than me, a guy that has never seen the show Lost? Today, I'm gonna just watch the series finale of Lost and see if I can understand what is going on with no previous knowledge. And I will decide once and for all whether or not this series finale that divided so many fans is good or bad. Also, for all you Lost heads out there, I will be watching the uncut finale that combines episodes 17 and 18, so buckle up, because this is an hour and 45 minutes long. Here we go. The episode opens on a runway, and we see an airplane with Oceanic Airlines written on it. Now, I don't know much of anything about this show, but the one thing I do know is that the show is about a group of people who crash land on an island, and then they're stranded on that island, and then things get crazy, apparently. So I'm guessing that this Oceanic Airlines airplane has something to do with the plane that crashed on that island. Now we're in a doctor's office, and this doctor has tattoos. A doctor with tattoos? That's a cool doctor. Then we see him washing his hands in a river. Then we bounce to a guy with glasses and a broken arm in a kitchen, but then we also see this same guy loading a gun and not wearing glasses. Also, there's a guy with a rope, but then we see him in the hospital. Okay, so presumably these are all the main characters, and we're seeing glimpses of them on the island and glimpses of them now that they're back to their regular lives. So I guess they got rescued, or they built a raft, or they got out of there somehow. Back at the airport, the airline crew is loading up a big box that came off the airplane that says Christian Shepherd on it. Oh no, it also says human remains. So Christian Shepherd's body is in this box. So I guess not everyone escaped the island alive. Then this fancy man with a Scottish sounding accent tells this guy with an absolutely insane haircut to take the coffin into this huge church. Oh, could this be the Wasp herself, Evangeline Lilly? Beautiful. She asks Fancy Man who died, and he tells her, and she laughs? Why is that funny? Oh, I guess because his name is Christian Shepherd, like Jesus. Except Jesus was Jewish and a carpenter, so not like Jesus. But for some reason, she thinks it's a pretty funny name. Now Evangeline Lilly is saying that the fancy man broke her out of jail. What was she doing in jail? Maybe she killed someone on the island? Now Evangeline Lilly asks the fancy man, who are you? So these two don't even know each other. He says that she may not realize it, but they're friends. So did Evangeline Lilly lose all of her memories being on the island or something? Then we see Evangeline Lilly on the island staring at the cool doctor. Okay, here's what I think I know so far. A group of people were stranded on an island, right? And now they are back in what I think is Los Angeles, based on, there's a sticker on Christian Shepherd's remains box that said LAX. Fancy Man, I have not seen him on the island yet, but I'm assuming he was also on the island with Evangeline Lilly. And for some reason, Evangeline Lilly does not remember being on the island. And she committed a crime. I don't know what the crime is. So still a lot to figure out. Now this guy that looks like Fabio tells the cool doctor that he's the new Jacob. And he tells him to say what the burning bush had to say for itself. Is this a religious show, kind of, maybe? Lots of Bible stuff right up top. We've got Christian Shepherd, which sounds biblical. And then we have some guy talking about a burning bush on a mountaintop. That's a Moses thing. Also a guy named Jacob. Jacob's in the Bible, I think. Old Testament. Okay, now Cool Doctor is telling Evangeline Lilly that they need to go to the heart of the island and defend it against a smoke thing? Like a smoke monster? I think that's what's happening. Now here's a guy. They don't let guys like this on TV anymore. I love this guy. Look at those mutton chops. Why does every actor nowadays have to be beautiful and ripped? Why can't we have more guys who just look like a guy you'd bump into at a Walmart in Tampa, Florida, like this guy? Oh, this guy rocks. They're talking about someone named Locke, and then they start talking about a guy named Desmond, and honestly, they're saying too many names for me to understand what's going on. Fabio says he's going to get someone out of a well, and the others are going to the heart of the island. After a very brief title card, we're back in the present, and Mutton Chops is driving a Hummer. Dang, remember Hummers? The 2000s were wild. Okay, what? Now this man with curly hair is saying that Mutton Chops broke him out of prison. This is just Fancy Man and Evangeline Lilly all over again. Mutton Chops shows him a gun, and this curly-haired guy doesn't remember being friends with Mutton Chops, even though Mutton Chops is acting like they're boys, like they're two curly-haired pals. Mutton Chops knocks on a motel room door, and Oh, that's Merry from Lord of the Rings. But he's a goth. Oh my gosh, this show has everything. Hummers, goths, guys that Hollywood would never put on TV anymore. The 2000s were a special time. Simple time. Mutton Chops tells Goth Mary that he has a concert tonight, but Goth Mary just wants to hang out in his crappy motel room and drink. So Mutton Chops shoots him with a tranquilizer and puts him in the Hummer. Back on the island, Fabio is spying on the rope guy, but then that guy who had a broken arm and glasses from earlier sneaks up on him with a gun. Oh, so this rope guy's name is Smokey. So there's no smoke monster, it's just this guy. And he wants to destroy the island for some reason. Fabio elbows glasses guy and steals his gun and then walks away. Oh my gosh, there's even more characters. Oh wait, this is Fancy Man. He's at a camp with 2 old people and a dog. This is preposterous. Fancy Man asks this lady, whose name is Rose, how long they've lived here, and she says they built their camp in 1975, but then the sky lit up and now she has no idea when they are. What? Oh, okay, she calls Fancy Man Desmond, so now I just need to figure out who Locke is, and I think I'll have all my names straight. Uh-oh. Smokey shows up to the camp and pulls out a knife. Leave this nice old interracial couple alone. Smokey tells Fancy Man that he needs to come with him or he'll kill the old couple. All right, let's take a beat here. We have a bunch of people on an island who used to live in Los Angeles, and it seems like they're kind of divided into 2 factions. There's Smokey and Glasses. They seem to be the bad boys. And then there's Evangeline Lilly, there's Cool Doctor, there's Fabio, there's Mutton Chops. I'm probably missing some people, but they seem to be the good guys. Presumably, all these people crash landed on the island. But now that we've met Rose, it seems like there's been several crashes on this island, like not everyone showed up at the same time. And also the way that Rose is talking makes it sound like this island is magic. Like it seems like time doesn't really work the same way on the island as it does in Los Angeles or the real world. Like it seems like maybe Rose has actually been on this island for 100 years and doesn't realize it. Because, okay, also, presumably this dog is Rose's dog that she brought on the airplane that crashed in 1975. I got really sad news for everyone watching who doesn't know this, but dogs don't live that long. So if this dog was hers prior to the airplane crashing 30 years ago, then time really does move in a weird way on this island, which causes dogs to live forever, which honestly, that rocks. Like, we need to figure out where this island is and put all the dogs on it. And for some reason, some people don't remember being on the island. Evangeline Lilly and that curly-haired guy don't remember being on the island, even though Fancy Man and Mutton Chops do remember being on the island. So I don't know what's up with that. Smokey is bringing Fancy Man to the heart of the island when the glasses guy's walkie-talkie goes off, and he hides it. Then we see this guy with salt and pepper hair, and he calls Glasses Linus. Salt and Pepper tells this guy that looks like he's wearing eyeliner that he talked to the Black Smoke, and then they threw him in the jungle. Okay, so is the Black Smoke a gang led by Smokey? Then Eyeliner guy says they need to blow up an airplane. Why? Now Salt and Pepper is back in LA, and he sees the boys in the yellow Hummer. He calls Fabio, who I guess is a detective in Los Angeles. Whoa, okay. Salt and Pepper and Fabio are talking about why Curly Hair was in prison, and it's because he murdered 4 people. The only surviving witness is a Korean woman who is in the hospital, and then we cut to the hospital and see her beautiful Korean husband. Look at the jawline on this guy. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I guess this lady is pregnant, and who can blame her? Look at her damn husband. And this blonde doctor begins doing an ultrasound, and the lady has a flashback. Then she says that she remembers, and the beautiful husband looks at the ultrasound machine, and he starts having flashbacks too. I guess these 2 met on the island, fell in love, had a baby on the island, went on a boat, the boat blew up with a handsome man on it, but then also he survived, and then they found each other on the island again? Whoa, now this lady says it's a girl after acting like she didn't speak English. How does she know it's a girl? Okay, so it's confirmed. Some people who were on the island don't remember being on the island, and some people who were on the island do remember being on the island. And for some reason, this beautiful Korean couple, they, I guess, had a baby on the island, and now that they're about to have a baby in Los Angeles, it's like triggering flashbacks to when they were on the island. If you experience something in Los Angeles that is similar to something you experienced on the island, it allows you to have flashbacks and remember your time on the island for some reason. My question, though, after watching that scene is, how did this lady give birth on an island, first of all? That seems extremely dangerous. And second, where is her baby? Where is that island baby? I'm starting to think, and this might be completely wrong, the things that happen on the island aren't real? And maybe that's why all the fans got so mad at the finale. Because maybe at the end of this episode, it'll be like, it was all a dream. Or it was all in your head. Or like, everyone went nuts at the same time. I don't know. That would also kind of explain like Rose being like, oh, time moves differently here. If it's all just in their heads, then, you know, time would move differently. It's not real. I don't know if that's right. That's probably completely wrong. That's just, right now, that is my theory about what's going on. Back at the hospital, Cool Doctor calls Smokey Mr. Locke, so now I guess I also know who Locke is. Also, Smokey calls Cool Doctor Dr. Shepard, so he's the guy in that coffin from earlier? No, that can't, how is that possible? I'm assuming this scene is happening at the same time as the big concert/funeral, so if he's alive right now, he's not dead in a coffin. So Christian Shepard is someone else. Maybe Christian Shepard is Cool Doctor's dad? All right, I nailed it. Smokey asks if the airline found his dad's coffin, so Christian Shepard is indeed Cool Doctor's dad. Why is Cool Doctor working right now if his dad's funeral is tonight? And also, why is his dad's funeral also a concert? Did I hear that right earlier? They're doing a concert/funeral for this guy? Also, his dad presumably died on the island, right? If he's a character on the show. So does Cool Doctor also not remember being on the island and not remember his dad dying out there? On the island, Salt and Pepper and Eyeliner are canoeing and they bump into a dead body. They see a bunch of wreckage and then they see a guy with potentially the hairiest chest I've ever seen and bring him on the canoe. He's wearing pilot clothes, so did he just crash another airplane here? They're all acting like super casual about the fact that they just found a guy clinging to life in the ocean. Eyeliner tells Hairy Chest that they're gonna blow up the plane so Smokey can't leave the island. And Hairy Chest is like, hey, instead of blowing up the plane, I'll just fly us out of here. Did he just crash? Is that pilot in the ocean because he just crashed an airplane? Do they know each other? They're acting like they are old friends. Is that how common airplane crashes are on this island? That if you just like go out canoeing, you're just like, oh, I guess we bumped into this guy who also crash landed on this island. Let's bring him into the canoe and talk to him as if everything is okay. Now, Smokey's crew and Cool Doctor's crew run into each other, and Evangeline Lilly grabs Fabio's gun and starts shooting at Smokey. But he's invincible? None of the bullets even touch him. Either Evangeline Lilly has horrible aim, or Smokey is literally made of smoke and can't be hurt. The Cool Doctor tells Smokey he's not allowing him to destroy the island, and he's going to kill him. Now, everyone's just taking a nice, leisurely stroll through the jungle, and Cool Doctor tells Fabio that he thinks Fancy Man is some sort of weapon and can be used to destroy the island. Then Smokey is like, all right, everybody, stay back. It's just me, the Cool Doctor, and Fancy Man going to the heart of the island. And everyone is just okay with that, I guess. Why are they listening to what Smokey says? I think in general on this show so far, what I've gathered, people are not freaking out enough about what's going on. Like, you shoot a gun at someone and it doesn't hurt them, and then you just follow him into the jungle. You canoe in the ocean and you find a pilot with the hairiest chest of all time, and you're just like, I guess you're gonna fly us out of here? They find a glowing little hole, and I guess this is the heart of the island. Cool Doctor is tying a rope to Fancy Man, and Fancy Man says that when he gets lowered into that glowing light, he'll go somewhere else. Somewhere where he won't have to think about this island ever again. Whoa, now Fancy Man is saying that their airplane never crashed? Then how do you explain being on this island, Fancy Man? Okay, I'm positive I'm not the first person to have this thought, but is the island purgatory? Now that I see this bright light in this cave, I'm like, okay, maybe that's heaven. Maybe they're all stuck in purgatory. Their airplane crashed on the island, right? They all died. Now they're all in purgatory for some reason. I don't know why. I keep coming back to Rose saying that time is weird on the island. The island is certainly magic in some way, and a way to explain that is if it's just purgatory. I guess the only flaw in that logic is that they go to Los Angeles after. And so it's not like you escape purgatory and you come back to life. That's not how purgatory works. I'm pretty sure. It is a TV show. All this is fake. So maybe the lost version of purgatory is you atone for your sins and then you get to come back to life. That seems bad. Maybe okay, this is probably not purgatory, but for 5 seconds there, didn't it kind of seem like I knew what I was talking about? Back in LA, Mutton Chops and Curly Hair hanging out in the Hummer. Then a fight breaks out in this alley and Curly Hair gets out of the car to stop it. He touches this blonde lady who was shoved to the ground and he starts having flashbacks to the island. These two apparently were in love with each other on the island, and now that they're together, they both are remembering each other. Then the guy from Vampire Diaries comes to the Hummer and reveals that that he and Mutton Chop set all of this up to reunite the two lovebirds. Okay, so if you were on the island and you forgot that you were on the island, the way to remember being on the island is to have some sort of moment that reminds you of a time you were on the island. So for the beautiful Korean couple, it was the ultrasound. For these two, it's, touching each other. Now they're making out like animals. So what I think is happening is Mutton Chops and Fancy Man are the only two people who remember being on the island. And so they're going around Los Angeles, finding the people they were on the island with, breaking them out of jail in some cases, and making them remember the island. Salt and Pepper, Eyeliner, and Harry Chest Pilot radio back to Evangeline Lilly and her crew and tell them to come meet them at the airplane so they can fly away. But then a little blonde lady named Claire shows up with a gun. She shoots the ground a couple of times, and Eyeliner is like, "Come with us," and she's like, "No," and then she walks away. Okay. At the heart of the island, Smokey and Cool Doctor are lowering Fancy Man into this bright hole, and Cool Doctor says to Smokey that he's not John Locke, and that he disrespects his memory by wearing his face. What? Okay, so Smokey is actually a smoke monster, right? And as a smoke monster, I guess you can inhabit the body of dead people. So John Locke died. Maybe Smokey even killed him, and then Smokey was like, "I'm gonna live inside that guy's body now." Now we're at the concert, and Claire sits down at a table with Evangeline Lilly, and they clearly know each other. Fancy Man is also surprised by this, but I feel like he must have a plan to get them to remember being on the island together. Then Goth Mary takes the stage, and he sees Claire in the audience and just stares at her. Also, why is Goth Mary's band performing with this little fedora man on the piano? This seems like not a really good fit. It's like putting Jason Mraz with Slipknot. Claire is super pregnant, and so she gets up and says she's going to the bathroom. Then we cut to Fancy Man at the heart of the island. He steps into the bright pool of water, and it seems to be electrocuting him or something. He grabs a stone and tries to move it, but eventually he just falls over. Then the bright light goes out, and Fancy Man begins to freak out. Then there's an earthquake? Whatever Fancy Man just did really screwed everything up. Smokey makes a run for it, but Cool Doctor tackles him to the ground. He punches him in the face, and Smokey begins to bleed, and he looks shocked. I guess he assumed because he's made of smoke, nobody could hurt him, but for some reason, Cool Doctor is able to. Maybe because of what Fancy Man just did in that cave, but then Smokey smacks him in the head with a rock and runs away. Now we're backstage at the concert, and Claire is like about to have a baby. Evangeline Lilly follows her back there, and while that's happening, a very regal older woman sits with Fancy Man. She says that Fancy Man was supposed to stop this, so she also somehow knows about everyone on the island and doesn't want them remembering being there. Also, I think the little fedora man is her son because she acts super concerned that Fancy Man is gonna take him with him. Take him where? Alright, now Claire is literally giving birth. Evangeline Lilly helps her, and then she has a flashback to the island when Claire also had a baby. Okay, why were there so many people having babies on this island? Also, was that not the fastest labor in human history? She was in labor for like 30 seconds. Also, I've always wondered what they put on these babies when they're supposed to be newborns in TV and movies. Do they just like spread a tub of Vaseline on them? Look at this little guy. Goth Mary comes over and gives Claire a blanket, and then Claire and Goth Mary have flashbacks to the island when they were in love, and they start kissing. Okay, new theory about the island. Nothing on the island happened. That never happened. None of this is real. All the stuff on the island never happened. What are the odds that a beautiful Korean woman and Claire could both successfully give birth to a baby on an island? Doesn't seem possible. The new theory is that nothing in these flashbacks ever happened. This is all fake. I think the island stuff is just like a mirror version of what would eventually happen in real life. So Claire giving birth right now, that's the real thing. They're in Los Angeles, they're in the real world, she's really giving birth. The island birth never happened, but in a way it did happen because it's like predicting the future, the stuff on the island. I think. It's like a version of their lives already happened on the island, but now they are actually living that stuff out in real life. God, this makes no sense. So like, that's why the beautiful Korean woman was like, it's a girl, because she knows it's a girl because she's already had these memories of this happening, even though they didn't already happen. The island stuff is fake, and now things are really happening. Why, though? I have no idea why everyone had this like group psychosis where they all imagined their lives happening on an island before it actually happened. But this is kind of the best I've got right now. Also, did Claire and Goth Mary hook up in real life and that's how she got pregnant? Because she sure is acting like he's gonna be this baby's dad. Back on the island, that earthquake is still happening and a big tree falls on top of Glasses. While everyone tries to get that tree off of him, Salt and Pepper calls on the walkie-talkie and is like, hey, we gotta get to the plane before the island explodes or whatever. Meanwhile, Smokey is about to get on a boat to escape the island when Cool Doctor finds him. Now these two are fighting on the edge of this cliff and everything is falling apart. The Cool Doctor gets on top of him and chokes him, but then Smokey grabs a knife and stabs him. Cool Doctor, no! Then Smokey is about to finish him off, but then he gets shot. It's Evangeline Lilly. So I guess whatever Fancy Man did down in that cave really did make Smokey no longer invincible. Smokey says, you're too late, and Cool Doctor kicks him off the cliff. Cool Doctor seems to be doing pretty okay for a guy who just got stabbed in the stomach. Now, we're back in Los Angeles and Smokey just got out of surgery. He wakes up and is immediately like, I can feel my legs, and starts wiggling his feet, and then starts having flashbacks to the island. Then Cool Doctor starts having flashbacks, but he's a doctor, so he pretends he isn't, so he doesn't seem nuts. Okay, so Smokey was John Locke before he became this smoke monster, and he seems like a good guy as John Locke. But if my theory about the island is correct, him dying on the island means he's gonna die in real life pretty soon, maybe? Fabio goes into that beautiful Korean couple's hospital room and they're like, don't worry about us, even though we just got shot. We're totally fine. In fact, that guy that shot us is probably like our friend, maybe. And Fabio still hasn't had his flashbacks yet, so he's super confused. On the island, the hairy-chested pilot tells Salt and Pepper to duct tape the airplane back together. So the plan seems to be to have a man with an extremely hairy chest that they found floating in the wreckage of another airplane crash, fly them off of the island in an airplane held together with duct tape. That's insane. Cool Doctor tells his crew that he needs to go down into the cave where Fancy Man turned off that light. Also, what happened to Fancy Man? They just kind of left him down there, didn't they? Evangeline Lilly is like, come on, let's just get on the airplane held together with duct tape and let the island be destroyed. And Cool Doctor says no. He wants to save the island for some reason. Glasses and Mutton Chop say they're going to stay with the Cool Doctor, and then Evangeline Lilly kisses him and says she loves him. Two beautiful people kissing. I can't wait to see them reunite in the real world. Fabio is hungry, so he goes into the hospital break room to get food from the vending machine. But in classic TV fashion, the vending machine doesn't work. But then that blonde doctor comes in and they unplug the machine and Fabio gets his sweet little treat. When the blonde doctor hands him the bar, they both start having flashbacks. Also, in one of these flashbacks, the blonde doctor falls down a big hole. What does it all mean? I really thought I was maybe getting somewhere with my mirror worlds theory where everything that happens on the island didn't happen, but it actually does happen in real life. But if that was the case, it seems like a lot of these people who died on the island should be dying right now. After we watch these two make out for a while, we see Cool Doctor showing up late to the concert. He's greeted by Evangeline Lilly, who goes up to him and touches his face in hopes of giving him flashbacks. And it works. The Cool Doctor, understandably, thinks he's going insane, and Evangeline Lilly tells him to come with her. And then we're back on the island, and the Cool Doctor is making his way back to that cave with Mutton Chops and Glasses. Cool Doctor tells Mutton Chops that he's going down in the cave to save the island, and he's probably gonna die in the process. Mutton Chops doesn't want him to die because he has to take care of the island, but Cool Doctor says that Mutton Chops needs to be the one to take care of the island. Cool Doctor takes an empty water bottle and fills it in this nasty looking little puddle and tells Mutton Chops to drink it. He gulps it down and then Cool Doctor says, now you're like me. Why does anyone need to take care of the island? It's an island. You don't have to like mow the grass or pick weeds. Also, Smokey's dead now. No one's trying to destroy it. Just like let the island be an island. Also, why did Mutton Chops have to drink puddle water? Why does that make him the protector of the island? The hairy-chested pilot has worked his magic and now the airplane is running. Meanwhile, Mutton Chops and Glasses are lowering the Cool Doctor into the cave. It looks like hell down here and Fancy Man is still lying on the ground. Cool Doctor flips him over and he's alive. I guess he was just taking a nap. Evangeline Lilly and Fabio swim to shore and find Claire just chilling on the beach. The island is still falling apart, but Claire yells that she can't leave because the island has made her crazy. Understandable, it doesn't really make sense what's going on here. Claire says that she doesn't know how to be a mother anymore. Yeah, where's your baby? Where's your little island baby? Also, where's Goth Mary? Where's curly hair guy? Where's the Korean couple? Did like half the cast get rescued in season 4 or something, and these are just the people who were left behind? Evangeline Lilly convinces her to go, and then they run towards the now moving airplane. These guys are just like not even bothering to walkie the other people and give them one last warning. They're just putting on their seatbelts and getting the heck off the island. But then Fabio, Evangeline Lilly, and Claire make it just in time, and Hairy Chest Pilot gets that old duct tape bird into the sky. All right, now don't crash again. Down in hell, Cool Doctor puts that stone thing back on top of the fire hole. Hold on. Maybe this really is supposed to represent hell. This little crazy area down in this cave is hell. The island is purgatory, and maybe that airplane they just took off on is taking them straight to heaven. But again, it doesn't make sense because they go back to Los Angeles and live normal lives. So this can't be purgatory. Unless, no, I don't know. Unless this is all, maybe the island stuff is actually happening after the Los Angeles stuff, but, time's a flat circle. And so, like, in Los Angeles, they're remembering the afterlife. No, that seems wrong. Water begins to pour down into this empty pool, and the fire hole starts glowing gold again like it was before. The cool doctor did something, but now he's just laying there laughing. Mutton Chops and Glasses pull Fancy Man up out of the cave, but cool doctor doesn't move. Outside of the church, Glasses tells Smokey that he's sorry for what he did to him, and that he was selfish and jealous because Smokey was special. So did Glasses give Smokey up to the smoke monster, and that's why he became Smokey instead of being John Locke? Smokey tells him that he forgives him, and then Glasses says, "You don't need to be in that chair anymore," and Smokey stands up. How did Glasses know that Smokey just had successful surgery? Wasn't that earlier today? Also, way too soon for Smokey to be up and walking around. He just had surgery. Back on the island, Glasses tells Mutton Chops that they need to help Fancy Man get home, and Mutton Chops says people can't leave the island. But then Glasses says that's how Jacob ran things. Did we ever find out who Jacob was? I don't think so. Like, his name was said at the beginning of the episode, and then we kind of forgot about him. So some guy named Jacob used to run the island in a way where he didn't let anyone leave for some reason. I don't know why. And then he made Cool Doctor the owner of the island. And now Cool Doctor has made Mutton Chops the owner of the island. And so now Mutton Chops could really run the island any way he wants. Mutton Chops asks Glasses to help him run the island, and Glasses says yes. Also, I really wish I didn't name this guy Glasses right away, because he basically hasn't worn glasses since we first met him. And then we're back at the church, and Mutton Chops comes outside. Mutton Chops tells Glasses that he was a really good number 2, and Glasses says that Mutton Chops was a great number 1. And then we get this beautiful out-of-focus shot of Mutton Chops saying thank you. All right, so I'm really getting the idea that Glasses did some messed up stuff on the island, right? Like, when we first met him, he's with the smoke monster. He apologized to Smokey, John Locke, outside of the church, being like, hey, I screwed you over. So he probably did something to kill John Locke. And if my purgatory theory is correct, it makes sense that he would need to spend more time on the island to atone for being a bad person. So if that's all true, Mutton Chops guided him on the island to becoming a better person. I just don't understand how, if the island is purgatory, they're just back in Los Angeles now. That's what's kind of like scrambling my brain right now. Now we're in the car with these two beautiful people. Cool Doctor says that his father died in Australia. Australia? Okay, so that plane at the beginning of the episode actually has nothing to do with the island. That was just the plane that carried Cool Doctor's dad back to Los Angeles, I guess. Cool Doctor goes into the church and finds his father's casket. He touches it and then has a flashback to when the plane crashed. Then he opens the casket and it's empty? What on earth? Then someone says, hey kiddo, and he turns around and sees his dad? Cool Doctor says, you died, and his dad says, yes I did. Okay, then what is happening? Maybe Cool Doctor really is going insane. Cool Doctor asks, how are you here right now? And his dad says, how are you here? Oh my gosh, are we in heaven right now? Is this heaven? Was the island actually purgatory and now we really are in heaven? We're in heaven right now. Why is heaven Los Angeles? The city of angels. Hey, that's why they call it that, because Los Angeles is heaven, the city of angels. All these characters are angels. Holy crap. Cool Doctor says, I died too, and starts crying. We really are in heaven. So being in heaven is the same as being alive, but in heaven, when you touch people, you have flashbacks to purgatory. And that seems to be the only difference between normal life and heaven. So does this mean that everyone we've seen in Los Angeles is actually dead? I guess so. If they were in purgatory, that means they eventually go to heaven. Also, is Fabio's idea of heaven being a detective? And is Cool Doctor's idea of heaven being a doctor? Get a grip, guys. Stop working for once in your life. If I'm going to heaven, I'm not getting a job. Also, did that Korean lady get shot in heaven? This is a crazy version of heaven. You sit around in traffic all day, you live in fear of getting shot, you work a job all the time. This isn't heaven, this is just living in the United States. Cool Doctor can't believe his dad is real, but his dad, who looks a lot like Cool Doctor, I must say, they did a really good job casting, says that everyone in the church and everything he's gone through has been real. Then Cool Doctor asks where they are, and his dad says, this is a place you all made together so you could find each other. And then he says, the most important part of your life was the time you spent with these people. What? So the time he spent with these people was the most important part of his life. That means that he was alive when he spent time with these people. That means he was alive on the island? Or is... Oh my gosh, what? They walk out into the church and see all the people from the island. While Cool Doctor goes around hugging everyone, we see him back on the island still bleeding a lot from getting stabbed earlier. He lays down and then Rose's dog runs over to him. Now this is closer to my idea of heaven, just laying down outside with a cute dog. That's nice. He lays there dying and then he sees the airplane with his friends in it fly overhead and he smiles. Then he closes his eyes and the episode ends. Okay, good lord, let me try to figure this out. So Cool Doctor just died on the island. Was that him dying in real life? There's no way. The island... Rose said that time doesn't exist on the island or whatever. So the island can't just be normal life. The island has to be purgatory. So is it that these people died, right? They flew in an airplane, they crashed into an island, they died. They went to purgatory. They spent time in purgatory, and eventually they ascended into heaven. Is that how this works? I'm not a very religious person. So all these people, right, they get on an airplane, they are going on a vacation or whatever. Their airplane crashes on an island. Did they survive the plane crash and actually live the rest of their lives on this magic island? I don't think so, because magic isn't real, but this is a TV show. Everything is made up. Or... did they die in the plane crash and the island was actually purgatory? Why were so many of them going to purgatory, though? I guess, again, it's a TV show. Maybe in the lost writers' minds, most people end up in purgatory because they're not ready to go to heaven yet. So all these people die. They go to purgatory, which is in the form of a magic island. While on the island, they become better people. And then once they become better people, they go to heaven. But then heaven is just Los Angeles for some reason. Also, Cool Doctor's dad walked out of the church into a very bright light. Is that him actually going to heaven? Is LA an extension of purgatory? So is you die on the island, you go to purgatory in the place where you die, I guess. That's the island purgatory. Eventually, all these people got off the island, but in getting off the island, they're not leaving purgatory. They're just going to a different part of purgatory. No, because Cool Doctor dies on the island. So how did he get to Los Angeles? Oh my gosh. I understand why people were so upset about this finale. I mean, listen, I haven't watched any of the other episodes. I'm not a good judge of this, but this is wild. They throw a ton of stuff at you at the very end of this episode, this'll explain everything. Cool Doctor's dad said everything that Cool Doctor has been through was real, right? So if we take that at face value, the island really existed, and that was while everyone was really alive. But now that they're all dead, they're in Los Angeles heaven. But why was the island magic? Let's go back to saying that the island was purgatory. Where did that airplane just go with Harry Chest Pilot? Where did he take them? Because they left the island, but I guess they could have just flown somewhere else while still being in purgatory. Woof, this is a lot. Also, again, why is there jail in heaven? Curly hair guy was in prison. Evangeline Lilly was in jail. Why do those things exist in heaven? Just the fact that jail exists makes me think Los Angeles cannot be heaven. So maybe Los Angeles is purgatory, and when Cool Doctor's dad went out of the church towards the bright light, he was going to heaven. It doesn't explain the island. Oh my gosh, dude. What could Evangeline Lilly have done in heaven to go to jail? Why did curly hair guy in the afterlife kill 4 people? How do you kill someone who's already dead? None of this is adding up. I guess Los Angeles is heaven for some reason. Why is there jail in heaven? Oh, it's not, none of it makes any sense. And I know I'm saying this as a guy who watched only one episode and is now acting mad. I have no right to be mad. I watched only one episode. That being said, though, I understand why fans were mad at this. This is a crazy finale. It's like you watch this whole thing and you're like, oh, cool. These guys are living on a magic island. That's kind of crazy. And then they throw this dead guy at you who's just walking around being like, hey, I'm dead, you're dead, we're all dead. And so you have to deal with that now with no explanation. I guess let me know in the comments if the creators of the show have ever come out and said what all of this means. Or if they haven't, let me know what your theories are. Or if there's like a widely agreed upon theory, let me know what that is. Also, let me know if I got anything right. I don't even remember half the stuff I was saying because it's just a hodgepodge of insanity. At least now we know why the show is called Lost, because that's how you feel when you watch it. Am I right, ladies? All right, well, thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if there's any other shows or movies you think I will get equally confused by. This was a real humdinger. Okay, bye.